About multitasking. Hello, Facebook. Actually, I was on with Instagram over here. So, hey, everyone. My name is Kara Gott Warner, and I'm the host of Power Pearls podcast. This is actually the live edition of Power Pearls podcast. And I go live here on Facebook, and now I'm trying to make it work with Instagram as well. So hopefully this will be a lot of fun. And what am I talking about today? So let's see. So today I'm going to be talking about how you can mind your knits. Mind your knits with 5 ways. I'm going to share 5 ways that you can keep the happy going in your yarn crafting, and how to attract the creative confidence that you desire. So you can knit, purl, and ohm your way to happiness. And I'll also talk a little bit at the end, or a few minutes, we'll get into it, and I'll talk about circular knitting actually as a way to sort of meditate with with working in the round, and how this resembles in many ways prayer beads. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with prayer beads, but circular knitting is very much like prayer beads. So I'm going to talk about that. But so let's see. So I see some of you guys are coming into the room. Talitha, Kat, and then I have Debbie on Facebook. So far, this is great. So hello, everybody. And so what I'd like to do is to start off with a question when everyone starts to roll into the room. So I think it's probably a good idea to start soon. And then if you are able to, if you come in late, if you want to watch the replay, it's a good idea to go back and watch the replay, so we can just dig right into the excitement. And I can always circle back to this question that I'm going to ask those of you that are here watching right now live. And it is, do you wish to attract more creative abundance in your life, but maybe you're not exactly sure how? And so that's what I want to ask you. And feel free to jump in the comments and say, what if that's something that you wish for. Maybe you're not exactly sure how. You lack ideas, you lack energy, the creative juices, so to speak. So yeah, let's have that conversation. So anyway, hey Amy, nice to see you. Thanks for joining me today. So I'm going to take a quick sip of water. I never take the time to do that because I'm always jumping into these live broadcasts, and then I just keep going like this, la 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 la. But by the way, so this is just a little side note. Actually, I think I hear the noise right now. I shouldn't say the noise. My child who is coming through the door. So I'm doing a live video, okay, London? So you can play on your phone or watch Teen Titans or whatever. Yeah, okay. Have you guys ever? So I don't know if you have kids, then maybe you've seen Teen Titans, but it's actually pretty funny. I kind of like it myself. It's kind of weird that I like it so much. But anyway, little side note there. So you guys, come on, let's start that conversation. So I'm gonna mention it again. And so, do you wish? Here's the question. This is the icebreaker before we dive into these 5 surefire ways to put the woo in your knitting life. The woo, I should say. So here it is. The question is: do you wish to attract more creative abundance in your life? But you're not exactly sure how to do it. So that's my question, and I would love it if you would jump into the comments and answer the question. Okay, and so while you're thinking about that, I'm going to jump into these 5 ways right now. I'm just going to go for it. I'm going right into it. Okay, so here they are. So there's 5. The first one is manifesting, right? That's important. That's a big one. It's all about our belief system and having faith, right? So it's about practicing being present and mindful in every stitch, right? So our mind is really quite powerful, isn't it? And we do have the ability to bring in whatever we wish for. So it's a great time to imagine the gorgeous work that will soon emerge from your needles. So what we think about grows, that's the truth. And so have you ever had this experience? I know I have, where you're just knitting and you're happy, and all of a sudden you run into a snag, you drop a stitch, oh my goodness, or, you get confused about a pattern. And what a drag. And what does that do? It automatically changes your mind, right? So it automatically makes you a little bit grumpy. Have you guys ever experienced that one? So yeah. And so the thing that's really interesting about this idea of manifesting, about mindset, becoming what you think of most of the time, because what you do think about grows. That was the last thing that I said. And so what happens is, if you're grumpy and you're upset and you're angry because you lost a stitch or whatever happens, then you are creating more of that, right? And hopefully you'll get over that negative mindset and you'll just move on, because we're human. Okay, I mean, I get that. But the only reason why I'm saying this, bringing this up as number one, is because a lot of the times, until we really get into following our mind or watching our mind, it's easy to fall into habitual patterns, right? So habitual patterns that we keep doing the same thing, and we allow ourselves to just stay a little bit on the negative, not realizing that it's harming our minds, and that it actually, it's like adding fuel to the fire. It really is. So Nora says, I can't say that that's ever happened to me. Well, then good for you. Because I know I've had moments where you're knitting and you drop a stitch. You never dropped a stitch, dropping a stitch, and you're like, So anyway, maybe not. That's awesome. I'm so happy that never happened to you. And so that's it. So I wanted to talk about that as thinking about, keeping that positivity. And so maybe not in your knitting, but just in general, because we've all kind of gone to that place where we're thinking in that negative way. And so whatever we think about grows. So, it's actually, actually what you think is, I don't know how many times more powerful, but it's a lot more powerful than your words. So what we think is more powerful. And we can actually see that, right? We can see this in our life with the things that we manifest. So you may have seen this. When you're more negative, when you have more negativity in your life, you start to see, things turn into more negative things that come into your life. But if you keep things very positive and you work really hard to keep those happy juices going, then you will see more positive stuff. So anyway, I love talking about this stuff because I really believe in it. It's not just, hey, I'm just going to get up here and talk about it because it's so trendy to talk about mindfulness and manifesting. I really believe in it. And I don't do, sometimes I do, better than other times. And so it's something that I continually have to work on, Okay, so I'm going to jump into number two. So number two is to give, right? To give it away. Give away your knitting knowledge. Maybe give away some of your stash yarns that aren't serving you anymore. Maybe you can teach a friend how to knit, a colleague, someone you work with, take your knitting needles to work someday, or a child. It's really always a lot of fun to teach a kid how to knit. And I've had a lot of fun teaching my son, and it's really nice, especially when you're giving in some way with our knitting, and maybe it's not to teach, but we're giving, a finished object, right? We all know that. That's something that we do quite a bit, isn't it? But to be able to give of our knitting in some way it's really satisfying. It really helps us to really get lost in that act. And so the thing that I hear a lot of the times from people that I coach, I work with designers and, budding designers too, and those that have been around in the industry a while. And but sometimes I hear from the newbies, the new people, that they feel funny calling themselves an expert, or they feel funny, teaching someone, because they don't know, they feel like they don't know enough to teach someone. But the truth is that you really only have to be a couple of steps ahead of someone to teach them, because the truth is that you're more engrossed, you're more I should say not engrossed, but you're in the trenches with them. You're really close to the experience with that person. So don't let being an expert, or don't let not being an expert, get in the way, because you don't need to be an expert to give away your knowledge. So give it away and freely give that to someone. So so just let go of the mindset that you're not ready. So that was number 2. And I'm just going to stop to say hello, Christy. Hi, Christy. Glad to see you. Yeah, I'm coming back into the fold, as they say. We're starting a new series in March. I'll talk about that a little bit at the end, but I'm going to have a co-host. Tabitha Hedrick will be joining me. She's been on the show many times. We were on last week, and we had some technical difficulties, and we were a little bit scattered. I'm sorry about that. We were. I will admit that. But I'm trying to show up. And that was my, if you guys on Instagram, by the way, I keep turning this way, you guys, on Facebook, because I'm on Instagram at the same time. I've been writing status updates. I guess I'm treating Instagram like a blog. And I was talking about showing up, because I'll be honest, I almost didn't show up today, but here I am, because I was like, I don't know if I have time. And, I had this idea to have this 3-part series, because I'm going to talk about that in a little bit too, because what I'm talking about now, all of this is part of a series. Manifesting mind and creating mindfulness with our yarn crafting. But anyway, so I showed up. I'm here. Okay. So yay for me, yay for all of us that are showing up. So let me dive into, hey, Christina, nice to see you. So I'm going to dive into, and by the way, I'm just going to stop really quick. And so Christina and Christy, you guys came in a little bit late. I had a question, and I would love for you guys to answer this. So to break the ice, I always like to do this at the beginning of Power Pearls Unplugged, and I want to ask you, do you wish to attract more creative abundance in your life, but you're not sure how? So creative abundance, it could be just in general abundance, creative abundance, a creative energy, but you're just not sure how. So I'd love to hear you answer that, or see you answer that in the comments. So I'm going to get into number 3 in our 5. These are 5 tips, surefire ways to put the woo-woo in your knitting life, or keep the woo-woo going in your knitting life. And at the end, I have a little surprise. So number 3 is to get rid of the guilt. And in this case, I'm talking about getting rid of the work in progress guilt, the WIP guilt. Do you have too many unfinished projects in your closet? Well, who cares? Who cares? I don't care. It doesn't matter, because we have bigger fish to fry, don't we? I mean, I hate to be morbid. This is not to be morbid. This is to inspire you. But we're all going to die someday. So why don't we turn this around a little bit, okay? And why don't we think about how grateful we are to have been able to purchase all the awesome yarn to make all those works in progress. Think about that one, right? That we got to buy all that yummy yarn, go to the yarn shop or buy it online or wherever we get it to start those projects in the first place. So get rid of the guilt and turn it around and turn that into gratitude. Gratitude. And Kat says, I have the guilt big time. Well, Kat, I hope this helped you, because like I said, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, and it really helps me. I mean, think about it. We are only on this planet for so long, and we have the luxury to go and buy yarn and create things with our hands. Think of all the people in the world that don't have that ability, that don't have the ability to, go to the yarn shop or, and get yarn, or they don't even have the ability to eat food when they want to. I mean, this gets into a whole other topic, right? But I'm just using this. This is, that's a sad reality, but it is a way to put things in a perspective, just to help us get rid of our guilt about having too many works in progress in our closet. We don't need that kind of guilt. So turn that around and turn it into how grateful you are that you could purchase all that yummy yarn in the first place, okay? So you have my permission. You don't really need my permission. You could just do that. Okay, number 4. You guys ready for 4? So Christy, let me back up here. So Christy says, hello. Again, keeping up the momentum going and finish what I start. So that's the answer to the question. So that is that you wish you could keep the momentum going and finish what you start. Wow. So Christy, another question is, why do you think So I'm kind of putting it back on you. Why do you think you lose the momentum? Just curious about that. Could it be because you start another project? Because I know that sometimes for me, I do have multiple projects. I don't feel guilty because I like to do maybe a simple project, right? Maybe something that's with, sock weight yarn over here, and then maybe something else over there that's like a bulky weight, or, something that's more intricate that has like a chart, and then something that's just like simple knits and pearls that I can binge knit while I'm watching, Netflix. So I'm just curious what it is, Christy, that why you lose that momentum. So, okay, so we're going on to number 4. You guys ready? Ready? Okay, so we've been talking now for 15 minutes. This is cool. I think I'm going to try to keep these a little bit below 30, like usually 30 minutes, sometimes more. So maybe 20 minutes is the sweet spot because I know we're busy and we all want to start the weekend. Okay, so detox your stash is number 4. Clean it out. Stash. Do a stash detox, a little bit of stash therapy. And Christy's been around a while. We've done the stash therapy. So I've done a lot of this on Facebook and through the Patreon community, which I'll share a little bit about a little bit later. But just to kind of take a look at what's in your stash and decide maybe every week you're going to have a task to de-stash, to use that as a form of therapy. But you know what? Maybe, again, going back to what we said before about giving away, give it away, teach someone, give away a finished object, do a yarn swap and give away, just flat out give away yarn that you think somebody else might like that isn't serving you anymore, because that's going to feel so good for you, because that person's going to be like so excited that you gave them this yarn. So challenge yourself every week. That's my assignment for you guys. Challenge yourself each week to do one thing to organize your stash. Okay. And number 5 is breathe into it. Breathe into it. And what I mean by that is to bring the goodness for what you wish for, and using visualization with your knitting. So this is how we can take it a next step. So we want to turn our mindless knitting into mindful knitting, right? So now I'm going to be putting together a breathing meditation. It's like knit, purl, om. You guys saw the little promotions and graphics that I put up on Facebook and on Instagram. So it's going to be a knit, purl, om breathing meditation to manifest the creative confidence that you desire. It's designed to actually work with a circular knitting project. Now I'm going to be sharing one with you. It's going to be for a skinny tubular scarf that you could modify and turn it into a hat if you want, or just a cowl. But we're going to cast on a small circumference of stitches, and we're going to work in the round, because actually knitting in the round, circular knitting, is much like working with prayer beads. So, or a rosary, if you guys are familiar with that. But you've seen prayer beads, right? And the thing that's really interesting about it is because you're always slipping a stitch, right, from the left to the right, and do the same thing with prayer beads, which is really very, very, very cool. So the breathing meditation that I'm creating is my way of saying thanks for supporting the podcast during this 3-part mini series. And so I'm doing this so it's a 3-part Mind Your Knits series, and this is part 1. This is part 1. It's like an introduction, but it's also me giving you these 5 awesome tips. And what we'll do next week is we're going to explore how circular knitting is a beautiful complement to your meditations, and you can use it. And I'm going to share a meditation with you. And I'm going to talk about how, a little bit about it, like how the meditation is going to go. Okay. So what you can expect. Actually try this just based on what I'm sharing right now. But before I do, I saw some people popping into the comments, and now it's about time that you came back in here. Melanie, hello. Thanks for joining. I know it's late here in Germany. But great to see you. Amber is here. Hello, Amber. And Amber says, I've recently made a goal to finish up, and I made a playlist per project. Oh, wow. So now when you say a playlist per project, so like listening to music while you're knitting, or that's really, really cool. I love it. And Christy, going back to what you said before, so I asked you what holds you back, like how do you lose momentum? And you said perfectionism gets in the way. Now that's another topic, you guys, because perfectionism is a huge obstacle, isn't it? Because it keeps us from really kind of doing, this is a whole other way of looking at perfectionism, but it keeps us from doing the things that we really want to do because we get bogged down by thinking we always have to be perfect. And so on Instagram, I've been, doing this thing where I'm like, I'm showing up, no need to be polished and perfect. Let's just make it happen. Let's show up together, right? Let's be who we are and not worry so much about perfectionism. Okay, so this is great. So Amy says, like Christy, finishing doesn't always happen for me, and not just with knitting. I get invigorated by novelty. That's really great. That's really, really a good one, Amy. So I get invigorated by novelty, starting or learning new things. I can say the same thing. Like, I love designing something. I love coming up with that idea. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do this thing from a blank slate, right? From nothing. And I'm going to jump in and, the momentum, the excitement. And then midway through the constant rows of stockinette stitch, you're like, oh, I'm bored. Next. I mean, that's human nature. It's human nature, isn't it? It's totally human nature. So yeah, Amy, thanks for sharing that, because I can totally relate to that for sure. Okay, so are you guys ready for this, the way that this meditation is going to go down? I'm going to share with you how I'm going to be designing, I shouldn't say designing, but creating this meditation. So it's going to be available soon, but I'm just giving you a little sneak preview. So, okay, so let's say you want to try this right now with a circular knitting project. And like I said, I'm going to share one. I'm working on one. So circular knitting is great for this because it's very meditative. It's much like prayer beads, but you go around and around, right? It's seamless. It doesn't stop. It just keeps going around and around and around. And there's something extremely meditative because you don't have to abruptly stop and turn your work. And that's why it's really great. So what you would do is you would start, with knitting a stitch or working a stitch, and maybe recite a mantra. Have you ever heard of the phrase mantra? I'm sure you have, but the word mantra, but a mantra or a phrase or a slogan that you can create, like, abundance is all around me or something. I don't know. I just kind of thought about that because I couldn't think of one. I want you to be thinking about your own. It can be quotes that you love. It could be just a simple phrase about health and how things come into your life effortlessly, how creativity enters your life effortlessly, and it brings beautiful things to you and others that you care about, whatever. So knit a stitch, recite your mantra or your phrase or your slogan or whatever you want to call it, and then knit another stitch. Then you can purl and then hold your breath ever so slightly. This is a technique in meditation. Now, I've been a meditator for like over 12 years, and it's a big part of my life. And so there's a meditation that's actually where you would inhale, right? So it's a 3-part breathing meditation. You inhale, you pause, and you hold your breath for like a split second, and then you let it go. So we're going to knit or work a stitch and inhale, think of our mantra, think of our phrase, and then purl, hold our breath ever so slightly, and then exhale. So it's knit, purl, om. So it's knit, breathe, purl, hold, om, exhale it all out. And we do a few rounds like after this. So we just knit, purl, om, knit, purl, om. Even that could be your mantra. What do you think about that? Knit, purl, om. Or knit, purl, love. Knit, purl, creativity. Knit, purl, abundance. Whatever. And then work a few rounds. Close your eyes and just sit still. And just using your knitting in this way and repeating that process over and over. So you knit a few rounds, you say your mantra, you put your work down, you close your eyes. And that's really the gist of it. And it's a great way, such a beautiful complement to our knitting life, isn't it? So that's awesome. So Amber says listening to music. So that is really cool. So your playlist for the projects, that's awesome. Because, that's the thing. I mean, I'm a podcast listener. Hello, I'm a podcaster. And of course, I love to listen to podcasts. So I can remember, like if I'm working on a project, I can often remember the kinds of podcasts I was listening to, or audiobooks. I love audiobooks. Oh my goodness. And I don't know if anyone saw my live, it was on Instagram. It was an Insta story about this book called You Are a Badass at Making Money. I don't know if you guys heard me, if you saw that. And I'm listening to that on audiobook. I've read the book. I've already listened to the audiobook a few times. I just think it's great. It's a great manifesting book to manifest wealth, but not thinking in terms only of monetary wealth. It's more about wealth, inner wealth, outer wealth, right? Resources, what you can do, the freedom we can have with wealth in all those ways, not just, like I said, not just monetary. Okay. So this is great. So, so Christy has a mantra, knit, purl, love. And Amy says, like Christy, finishing doesn't always happen for me, and not just with knitting. I get we already said that. I'm sorry. We get invigorated by novelty. Yes, that was awesome. I love that you shared that, Amy, and I apologize. I thought you had another comment there. It's just that these scroll and move so fast. Hey, Mary, how are you? Mary says, hi from Colorado. These are all great tips. Is there a written form of these tips I can save, or is there a way to save this video specifically to play it later? Thanks in advance. Hey, Mary, no, you know what? I don't have, I do not have the notes or these tips, but actually this is going to be, just so you know, this is going to be a 3-part series. And so I will share the PDF of these we're within this series. I'll have it for you soon. If you would like, and then you can all download it. Wouldn't that be awesome? So I'll definitely prepare something so you have that. And so that's great question, and I think that's a great idea. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. Just decided. Awesome. Okay, so next week we're going to start our Mindfulness knit along with a little, a skinny tubular scarf, a tubular skinny scarf. Yeah, got that out. And we're going to cast on together. We're going to do this together. And what I'll do is I'm going to show you a few little techniques. So this is going to be a great way to do our meditation. So you get the meditation, and we'll cast on for a skinny scarf that you could also scale up, and you can make it a cowl if you want. I mean, it's your call. It's totally your call. This is going to be really laid back. We're going to knit along. So it's going to be more of a knit along as opposed to a full-fledged, here's your pattern, you can download it, even though I will have pieces of information for you that you can access, so that you can have it when we're done with the videos. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll show you how to remove, or how to get rid of that ugly gap. That ugly gap that's at the beginning of the round when you join to work in the round. And then in the following week, I'll show you how to work a jogless join. So if you want to work with stash yarns and you want to work with color, I'll show you to work a jogless joint, so you don't have that funky, that jog. They call it a jog. So it's jogless, so it's seamless. So if you're starting a new color, you won't see that step up. And then finally, in the final week, I'll show you how to finish the scarf and add embellishments, and also some inventive ways to make some fringe. So again, this is my way, giving this, as my way of saying thank you for being a patron of the podcast. Thank you so much. So if you guys want to learn more about how to become a patron, you can go to powerpearlspodcast.com/community, and you can check out the Patreon community over there. And so this is just, I do this. I'm able to do this, you guys, because I have amazing supporters. Now, a bunch of you guys on Facebook, you guys are already patrons. Yay! So that's what helps me keep creating this content, right? This free content, by generous, from the support of generous patrons. Okay, so you can check it out, see what's going on. I do have rewards. So it's powerpearlspodcast.com/community, and you can learn about, just how to support even for $1. There's a big range, so that would be super awesome. So anyway, Melanie says, is this on Patreon? No, this is here. Melanie, I don't know if because I noticed that you haven't been around for a few weeks. I know you've been busy. So maybe you want to watch the recent video that I posted in the Patreon, the private Facebook group for the patrons, about the direction and where we're going. I'm kind of coming back full circle to the podcast and using Patreon as a way to help support these things, this free content, the podcast, because I couldn't keep doing the podcast and creating new content for Patreon. So I had to say, hey, you know what? I'm creating content with the podcast, and now the podcast is coming back. So next month, new episodes, new season, new co-host, by the way. So Melanie, check out that video if you have time. Just kind of outlines a little bit. And if you go to Patreon, you'll see the rewards. You'll see how those have changed, but they're pretty cool. They're pretty nice. So let's see. So Melanie says, which yarn weight? It doesn't really matter. I'm actually going to be working with medium weight yarn, but you could cast on with bulky weight yarn or super bulky. It doesn't matter. I don't care. It's your call. But I am looking over here because I have all these stash yarns that I pulled out. So I have some of these yarns here that isn't that pretty? Isn't that pretty, Facebook, Instagram? So I made some of these cakes. If you guys know, if you've been around for the stash therapy challenges that I did, I made these cakes. And this is all worsted weight. So I'll be using this. But the thing about these cakes, this is cool. So when you make these cakes, you can splice the yarns together. There's a way to sort of graft the colors together so it's seamless, right? So you won't even have to worry about a jogless join. Although if it's changing color, you might still see the join. But this is if you want a rustic look, that doesn't matter so much. Or you can knot the colors together, and then when you this is a way I like to do it sometimes. So I don't just, because it takes a while to graft the colors together. So when you get to the new color, it's a loose knot. I'll take the knot out, and then I will work a jogless join if I really want a very clean line around the the circumference of the work. If that makes any sense. Hopefully that makes sense. But this is the kind of stuff that we're going to do over the next couple of weeks, 3 weeks, and we're going to be, it's going to be this series, Mind Your Knits. So let's see. I want to jump in here. Any more questions? This is awesome. So hope you enjoyed this, and and so. As I said before, actually the meditation, so you guys are gonna get the meditation and we're gonna cast on together to do this knitfulness knit along together. How's that for our skinny tubular scarf? So I think that's it, you guys. So awesome that I've got Instagram here. This was great. This is a new thing that I'm doing. And then of course, good old Facebook, Power Pearl's Facebook page. You guys have been around hanging out with me for the last 3 years straight. It took a little hiatus at the end of 2017, but I'm excited to be back with you guys. Stay tuned for episodes of Power Pearl's podcast, new season. Like I said, it's coming up soon. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye. I said I was going to keep this at 20 minutes, but oh well. So it's been 35 minutes because I keep on talking, but it's all good. The videos are going to be as long as they need to be, right? Based on what we're talking about. So you guys, I'm going to say goodbye both places. Have an awesome, awesome weekend. All right. See ya. Bye-bye. Bye. Oops.